Hi, my name is Darren Glenister. I'm CEO of Material Exchange. I'm very, very pleased to have Andrew Ola with me today. Andrew is from Kingpins. He will tell us a little bit about Kingpins in a minute, but he's one of the important partners that we work with through Material Exchange and our software. So I'm now going to hand over to you, Andrew, to tell us a little bit about yourself and Kingpins.
So I'm in the business since 1973. Turned the business into a denim-centric business or jean-centric business in the late 70s. And we focused on indigo fabrics. In 1998, I moved the company to New York. In 2004, we started Kingpins, which was a supply chain denim party. And we ran that for a couple of years. And in 2007, early 2008, we started to charge for it. And it became a commercial entity. And today it's probably the largest denim trade show in the world for the supply chain, and it's about 70% of our company's turnover, unless our business view grows.
Well, that's the plan.
Hopefully it shrinks.
We met actually, I think it was through your daughter, Emily. She introduced us. She saw us on the USFIA podcast or webinar, actually.
Thank you, Julia Hughes.
Yes, and Julia Hughes actually there. She was the one who set that up. What was your first impression of Material Exchange when you heard about us? Because I understand you looked for some other solutions to digitize
We've been trying to digitalize Kingpins for, now it's 5 years. So we had met with lots of disappointment. And then Emily said she saw a webinar for you guys and said, I think this is the perfect software for us. And then we met. And then we got off the phone call. We said, this is the perfect match, I think. But it depended really on you. What we saw was really exciting because you had all of the attributes that we think anybody would want.
And I remember at the time, we didn't actually have exactly the solution that you were looking for, but it was on our roadmap. So we accelerated part of our business to put together the Kingpins Exchange, as it's called.
Yeah, you guys did a great job in meeting what we wanted to do. I mean, you did a fantastic job, but I don't know if I ever told you this, but I had database experience. I wrote our company's first database. So you had a lot of fields that I knew were usable, and you just had to be shifted around. And there were only a few fields that were missing, but you guys did an amazing job.
Because you helped us with the data model in the beginning.
Yeah, my database experience allowed us to be clever like that.
And now do you think we've got a very good data model for denim?
I think we have an amazing model for denim. And I think that we have a solution well beyond anyone's expectations. I think most people that we show it to are like, this is really great. And then you can hear it at the back of their voice. It might exceed their expectation.
And your way of kind of promoting us amongst the brands and the suppliers was very hands-on. You were going out and actually doing, multiple demos every week.
Emily and I did them all. We were usually both of us were online, so we probably did about 95 demonstrations. It normally depends on how much chit-chat there is in the call. We're anywhere between 30 and 50 minutes.
And what was the initial customer reaction when you went out? Let's start with the supplier side or the mills.
Well, we started with the click-through. So we didn't have the site, so the click-through was very effective. And the general reaction was always the same. Almost 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 people that we showed or companies that we showed it to wanted to participate in the program.
And this was in the...
Actually, 30% of them said yes before we finished the presentation.
And this was in the middle of COVID, so there were no physical shows actually happening at the time. No. And before COVID, you said you were thinking about digitizing and kind of extending your event to make it more year-round. Was it COVID that was really the catalyst?
No, it wasn't. We didn't think like that at all, actually. No, the way we thought was that number one, products needed to be digitalized. So one of the things that kind of is amazing to me is that people in our industry, whether they come to our showroom or they go to our shows, they walk around with a pencil and a notebook. And I find that so bizarre, and scissors. And they cut little tiny swatches, they stick them in their book, they write down their notes, and then 2 days later they call you and ask you to reread their notes. And they've been doing this. They've been doing this for 25 years. And I don't really I never understood it. So I didn't understand why everybody just didn't digitalize all the products, put all the information in one place, and everybody stopped calling you.
Is that based on the fact that when you have the physical shows, someone from the company, the brand, typically walks around
with a notebook too?
With a notebook, and
yes,
then that
and
information has to be shared with other people
Yes.
inside the company.
Yes, and half the time they can't read their own notes.
Right.
So they call you again and again and again. And so I don't really like a lot of communication. So I thought that was amazing. And then the second thing that we like and that you have, and we now offer, is that the really cleverest buyers can actually look at collections by themselves, and they don't need a salesperson.
When I first met you, you were showing me how you promote a denim collection, and it was typically put together as a PowerPoint presentation and then
In COVID times, yeah.
Yes, yeah, but before I guess it would be face to face. You would
It's
actually
always
take
face to face. But I'm not necessarily, first of all, as you know, it's not that easy to find good employees. It's not that easy to find good salespeople. And just because you have a salesperson and just because you're visiting an important customer doesn't mean that that salesperson is showing the collection the way you would want. More than likely, you're not.
No.
But actually, you can take over control of the meeting if you have it digitalized.
And once you have that digital data, so you have the material attributes with the data model, you have direct communication with the supplier. What's the kind of next step in the process?
In the material exchange or Kingpins
exchange?
exchange?
in the Kingpins exchange.
Well, you have the software, you can order whatever you want as far as sampling goes. I mean, the mission of the software is to get you as a buyer to sample at your own discretion, to physically use it and to order your materials that you would need to make a decision. And for the supplier, it's to be in touch with the customers directly, or in an association with your salesperson, so that everything is digitalized, recorded, and kept in one place. So everybody can track what happened and what it is that was quoted, and all the data that was written in the notebooks.
And I guess when it's a direct relationship, it might remove some middle people as well in the process.
Yeah, I mean, people always talk about getting rid of middle people, and I've been a middle person my whole career, so I don't really like that conversation so much. I think a really good middle person is really important. I think a lousy middle person is someone you want to get rid of. I think that the system allows everyone to get the information that's required painlessly.
Yeah, but I think a key part of your job is the curation of the content to make sure the suppliers are uploading the data and keeping it maintained.
Yes.
So that is very important. And I've seen that one of the big successes of the Kingpins Exchange is that you're very active on both sides with the suppliers and the brands.
You have to be. This job, the job that we want to have is to make the site an incredible experience for both sides. For a customer, they find it really, really inspiring and helpful. And for the mills, to get action, to get activity that they wouldn't get with the normal process.
And when we started, we actually launched back in November 2019. There was no...
It's almost like yesterday.
Yeah, it was very, very quick. And there was no actual show. So you had no physical show. You had Kingpins Online, which is Kingpins 24, is that the name of it? And we had the platform and it was separate to Kingpins 24. For the last show, which was in March, was it March? Yeah, beginning of... actually, we combined Kingpins 24 into the Kingpins Exchange.
Right.
And that was your suggestion. So I just wondered why you thought that was a good thing to do, what the benefits are.
The long-term benefit is that first of all, I think that digital events will take place even when you go back to real shows. I think that's important. So there's a place for it long-term. I think that there's a real use to people to go online to hear our event and also look at fabrics at the same time. We need to integrate, what we called yesterday, hyperlinks, and an IT word, I guess.
Yep.
So once we implement those kinds of things, we'll be able to, during the show, people can even advertise and give hyperlinks of their products so that the customers can flash onto the product so that we can sell while people are having, we call it a show, everyone calls it a show. It's a digital talk show. Basically, what we do is we do a Kingpins 24 is just a big long talk show or a documentary show of different things that are going on in our industry. And behind it, you have the ability, while you're on it, if you don't like something that you're watching, you can go and look at fabrics. And with the hyperlinks, I'm really excited about hyperlinks because that's an opportunity to actually push traffic to specific mills and products.
So just so I'm clear on this, So as someone is presenting, the idea is to be able to push links to the content that they're talking about and actually see it.
Totally.
And you've got the full spec sheet. You can order the sample. You can share it with a colleague, or you can even ask a question of the meal.
Yeah, so there'd be a little chat box, and you can even speak to the mill.
Yeah.
So I think that it's an amazing opportunity.
And one of the other things that we focus quite
You're
a lot.
being very modest. Your software is basically modernizing an industry that's been operating the same way since 1932.
Yeah, that's.
You should take a lot of credit for that, because you are giving the industry a huge. I'm not trying to patronize you, but it's a really big change that's going on, and people will really not understand and appreciate what it is for a couple of years, but they will.
Yeah, and I think, especially now, we've seen COVID has definitely accelerated digitalization. We're seeing brands that need to become more transparent, more sustainable. They need to have better processes in place, and that's where we have a fantastic.
Better assumes they had a good one before they didn't.
And from what I've heard, it's not always the case.
Yeah, exactly.
And in terms of sustainability, which is a very important topic, where do you see the Kingpins Exchange going? So at the moment, we have a supplier profile. We have their sustainable certificates. What else do you see as part of the sustainable future for Kingpins Exchange?
I think we have to go to the end of where I see sustainability, and then I can explain where we're going to go. I think that in every single, just in this room, if you look in this room, there's not a single thing in this room that anyone knows anything about. Your chair, this plant, vase, we don't know if it was made by slaves. We don't know if your sweater's toxic. Nobody knows a single thing about anything that goes along in our society. I'm convinced in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll know everything about everything. That camera, that screen, where that light bulb's from, the LED lights, where's the rare earth minerals from. We're going to know that. All the companies will have to, hopefully it'll be legislated, that they have to spit out their information. And by doing that, that will force companies to nominate and name their vendors. And obviously they're going to want to name vendors that they're proud of. So they're not going to, for instance, in America, if you have a chicken, you're going to have to tell them where the chicken's from. And you're going to have to go, maybe you can go and see the farm, and if they're all stuffed into 6,000 chickens in one little box, maybe you're not going to buy that chicken. You go to the farm where the chicken is in a resort, like in Saint-Tropez, having a great time and beautiful. So I think that we will, as Kingpins, follow that, and we are definitely on the, the trajectory to push transparency and to reward and celebrate the best in class. The people that participate in that, we will celebrate them, and we'll give them all the attention they deserve. Quite the contrary to the others.
So your philosophy is to promote the sustainable suppliers, and I understand you actually even had a restriction in your shows to say that you couldn't exhibit.
We did. We're the first show. I'm really proud of this. If I drop dead tomorrow, I don't care, because I'm really proud of it. Most trade shows will take anybody who pays them. So if somebody like whoever comes in and says, I'll give you whatever they pay us to be in your show, most people say thank you and they give them a booth. And we actually took the position and said, well, if you don't have this certification, forget it. You don't want your money. You don't need to come. Just don't participate. So we did that on 2 levels. We did that with chemistry. So we asked our exhibitors to participate in a chemical standard. And I'm a big believer in impact. And our impact went from almost nobody being part of that program to all of them being part of the program, just 60, like in the course of 2 years. And the same thing happened on social compliance. When we started, there were 7 companies that had certifications that the workers in their factories were being treated properly. And by the time we were finished, all of them had it. Well, actually, 2 didn't. They were from Japan, which is the country we're least concerned about.
And are they now compliant, or?
No, the Japanese can't, because they're really little companies, and they outsource everything. They outsource the packing, they outsource every single process. So it's really, really complicated. But Japanese labor laws are a little different than Bangladesh anyway. So we're less concerned about that. And then we tell everybody, oh, these guys are in a show, but they're an exception. They're from Japan. If you're cool with it, you can do business with them.
And at the moment,
that's a
joke. Sorry, I'm focusing on the questions. So you said So there's no physical shows at the moment. And at some point that will come back. And how do you see a kind of physical digital hybrid solution? So we have the Kingpins Exchange, which runs 24/7, 365 days a year. What do you see the connection with the physical world when your shows come back? How do you see that playing out?
Well, there's two levels of it. The first level is attendance. So right now, let's say our show in Amsterdam, which is our flagship show, has 800 brands. Some of the brands bring 10 people. Like American Eagle in America, they bring 10 people. Target brings 10 people. I would imagine that companies like that, Gap brings a lot, before we even get to Europe, I would imagine those companies will still come, but they might bring 2 people or 3 people. I would assume that's what's going to happen. Same thing in Europe. So I don't know how many people come from Bestseller. I'm going to have the numbers, but I don't have it with me right now. I would imagine they'll reduce the number of people, and then the balance of those people will need support or would appreciate support if we're able to give it to them digitally. So I think that's going to be our responsibility, is to provide as much information as we can to the people that might not be able to get to the shows. The other thing which is really interesting, and this is the physical side of it, is a word came up recently from one of my suppliers, and he said, "Oh, I don't want to do a show, I want to do a showcase." Small change in the word, but a big meaning. A showcase might mean to only show 2 or 3 or 4 products, whereas a show means to show everything you've got. I mean, I have vendors that come in with bags and bags and bags of jeans, which is a bit confusing for the customer. Showcase might mean that we do more shows physically. So instead of we'll do smaller but more frequent, and I think that'll be supported by your software, or our collaboration of software. And then the other side of it is the physical show. I think inside the show, we won't rely on physical samples as much, but we're going to rely more on digital, because people have to learn to make decisions on digital.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose there's a big opportunity for physical, touch the material, then scan a QR code, have that material available immediately in the platform, and then share it.
I'll give you an example. I don't know if the camera's catching that jacket that's up there. Well, if you're selling the fabric for that jacket and you want to do the best job that you can, then you would make that jacket in 7 different washes. So it would go from almost white to super dark. You'd have all these different washes. Not only does that cost a lot, not only is it a lot of time, not only is it garbage when you're finished with it, but that's all done so the customer can say, I don't think I like it. So I think now, in the new world, somebody might make one jacket with 1 wash and all the rest will be digital. And I think that people will be able to live with that.
Yeah, we're seeing, for example, we were talking earlier about PVH and their stitch system, where they're going fully to digital. So they're not actually going to produce a garment unless it's approved by a customer base. Then it's made into a physical product. So do you see that happening in the denim industry?
Yeah, I think that if that wall was all screens, and the picture is and the video outlay is really compelling, that it's workable. If you use it on a little 36-inch screen, I think it's not going to work.
There's one of the challenges of denim is that digitizing it's actually got quite a variation of gradients in there.
The color?
Yeah, and the color. How would you see that? So, for example, you could produce a pair of jeans in Clo or Browseware, but the actual scanning material will be quite difficult. So I guess that maybe is one of the bottlenecks for...
Might be a challenge for a while. Might be a challenge. But I think, we can't keep going on the way we're going on, and it's been really indulgent. If you saw my show, think of it like this. Our show physically had 60 denim mills. We won't get to the garment factories. Say we had 60 denim mills. Each mill had 100 fabrics. That's what? That's 6,000 fabrics. Then you have 5 or 10 washes on each fabric, or 3, whatever you have. And then everyone throws that all in the garbage. And they do that twice a year. And they have collections for every market. The waste that goes on in that, the cost of shipping it around, the whole waste of energy for that, the cost, it's crazy. All you really need is a picture.
Yeah, there's a lot. One other thing that we've worked on together, we have this, what we call a pavilion. And a pavilion, for example, we have Lensing and we have Lycra, and soon actually ZDHC as well coming along. Yeah, which are fantastic to work with. So
ZDHC was our chemical partner, right? And we worked on their gateway.
Yeah, which is, I mean, they're really good to work with, and I'm really looking forward to getting them into the Kingpins Exchange. So do you see, first of all, actually, maybe you could explain what a pavilion is?
Well, our industry is composed of jeans are made of fibers, and fibers are, Lensing is one of our pavilions. They make Tencel, which is a very, very sustainable kind of rayon product, probably the most sustainable product. I'm sure there's different arguments about how sustainable they are. They want to stack up against other fibers, but we won't get into that. Let's just say they're super sustainable. And so many mills use their product. Their product is very soft. When I used to design fabrics, we would always love to use Tencel because it's soft and strong. And so they have many, many mills that use their fabrics, they use their fiber and make lots of different fabrics from it. So we have a pavilion where all the different mills that use their products are displayed, and those products are displayed. So if you're interested in their Tencel or Refibra, which is their reproduction recycled product, you can see all of it in one place. So I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
They had booths in our shows, but they couldn't do that.
No, that's not possible.
They couldn't get all the different mills to give them an extra garment of everything, but now they have that online.
Yeah, and they can actually see who's using which.
Totally.
What's using their actual.
So we really believe in the pavilions. We think it's a really great idea. We're grateful that they joined us, and we're grateful to Lycra. We're really grateful for them also joining Lycra. I think everybody knows that they're make stretch fiber.
And I mean, first of all, we're lucky enough to have you here in person. You made the trip.
It's your lucky day.
It's really lucky. So you made the trip halfway around the world. I know travel's very difficult at the moment. You've met the team in person. You've actually been part of our strategy workshops here in Serbia. What do you think of us as a team now you've actually met us in person?
Well, I called my office because they obviously were dying to hear. So what are they like, you know? And I think you guys are incredibly collaborative, incredibly lineal in your decision making and in your associations with each other, and very, very bright as a group, motivated, and a pleasure to work with, unexpected pleasure.
Oh,
but we thought that, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to come, because we found our engagement with you awfully pleasant, which is unexpected in this industry. And I was like, I gotta go meet those guys. I need to sit with them because I don't know if they can be that nice.
Well,
but
I'm glad we lived up to your expectations.
You are, and it's. I told our guys that you guys all have to come. You have to all get your vaccines and come because you'll really, really appreciate the engagement with the company. You guys are probably like our team as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to meet the team. And of course, we were extra cautious with COVID, and we had tests before you came and even did tests on site while you were here. So everyone's been really cautious, but it's fantastic that you could come and actually sit and talk to me today. I really appreciate it. I always, love talking to you. So
well, it's due to my T cells. So I check my T cells every 2 or 3 weeks, and I have a ton of T cells at least before I left. So T cells, I should never get a disease.
Well, hope so.
We'll see. Famous last words.
Yeah, we have it on record now. So
exactly.
So thank you again, Andrew, for talking to us. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, and thanks
collaboration's awesome.
For giving us the chance to collaborate with you. It's great.
Thank you, Andrew.